Robert.
Oh,
Word count.
I give freely of words. You know that. I I give as many words. I under promise and I over deliver.
That's, you under promise and under deliver.
Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
Need your help. We need your input. So Bob and I are going to lay out the situation, and we are looking for comments, either in Discord or on the YouTube video that we're going to post. That's probably the best place.
Yep.
Or just if you have any other way to contact us, our Discord server, there's lots of different ways. I'll make sure all of those are listed out, but we need feedback from y'all. Yep, I said it. Y'all.
Y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Yeah. So,
I think
Robert,
this
what's
is a
our
bit of a
challenge?
well, I mean, you raised it this morning. Everyone Metacasters on Friday mornings. Josh and I have a backlog refinement, a mini session, and we were talking about content for today, and he just brought up a concern that our I don't know how to technically call it. Our listenership is declining. Our hit count is declining. Our comments have always been sporadic as well. So so that we and then I went off on a tangent as we always do. Josh brings up a valid point, a succinct point, and then Bob rambles for the next 10 minutes. This is true. And
Oh, I know.
that's why Josh is laughing so much. And no one can ramble like Bob Galen, let me tell you. It's all over. So I went all over the place. Um, and but then we sort of landed on let's ask the listeners, about should we pivot? Like we were talking about pivoting. Are we competitive? So questions that came up, are we competitive? I even thought after we hung up, Josh,
Hmm.
and that's a metaphor to an old phone. But after we hung up the phone, uh, I was like, should we even do this anymore?
Mm,
Uh, is it even worth doing? Uh, and that's not a defeat
yeah.
tone. That's we've been doing this for 14 years.
Hmm.
Like, have we run? Maybe one of the things is we've run our course. Uh, or there's whippersnappers popping up all over the place, and we're
Yeah.
not competing with the whippersnappers or whatever it is, content, things like that. So I think everything's up for grabs, Metacasters. We're like, are we relevant anymore? We'd like to pivot. We'd like to get more listenership. If we are relevant, then what are the ways we can do that? What are we missing? How do we get more relevant? Can you help us? Should we throw money at it? Should we ask for more help, et cetera, et cetera? So that's where we went. This is a different episode. We're going to talk about it. We'll react to questions that we get now. Then we're going to put it out, and hopefully we get some feedback over the next couple of weeks. And then we'll have a sad or a happy digest the feedback episode where we decide what we're going to do about the feedback. So this is where you not just you don't just give us a comment, you can guide the entire trajectory of the Metacast into the future of your future casting the Metacast.
That was not bad. Not bad. So that thought, by that thought, I mean, do we need to shut it down? Was a thought that crossed my mind. Like, have we run it through its courses and we did our thing? And should we put it on a shelf and say, we're proud of that? We did that. That doesn't mean we don't do something else. One of the things that I find most valuable is that this forces me to make time for a friend, which I'm not always great at. So I would still force myself to make time for Bob, whatever it is. Maybe it wouldn't be on camera. I don't know. But whatever that is, so there's a whole bunch of thoughts there. But I do think because we are one of the oldest, because we are what I like to call the godfathers of agile podcasting, we I don't think we've been able to keep up with those uh, younger, newer shows that come in and have more than what we have. They are more effective at social media. They have more targeted content. That's a discussion topic that we had this morning is we are the metacast because we have meta topics, right? We're like all over the place. And there have been times where we think the episode is fantastic, but how many people really are in a position to consume that and use that are listening to our show? Are we not delivering on what listeners and viewers need? Even though we're happy with the content, that certainly keeps us doing the thing, but it also has led to pretty stagnant listener numbers and slowly trending down. And that's what,
Oh,
when I saw that slow trend down, I thought, okay, like we need to hit the pause button and talk about this and figure it out. And one of the things that we try and do is be transparent. And this is, like I've said a million times, we got to treat it like a product and have our customers found better solutions out there. What are we missing? Where are we off base? So those are the things that I think are really going to challenge us as we move forward. And while we would like to be as effective and competitive on social media as others are, it's strictly an issue of time. When I didn't have two customers at once with Kazi, it was easier for me to find the time to chop things up, put it in post, schedule it, plan it, and do all of that.
yep.
But I don't plan to go back to just a single customer. So the reality is just our capacity to be competitive with all the things that need to be done. Whereas before it was just, hey, you put the podcast out, you get it in your RSS feed, and like boom, boom, you're done. But that's not the podcasting world in 2023, which is a good thing. So we have to figure out, do we want to compete? If so, how do we make that happen?
I mean, Steven says something like, "I would challenge you to dig in your why of the show." I think we have I'm not pushing back on that. We could dig into it, but I think to Josh and I, our why is pretty clear. We have expertise and we're trying to share it, and we're trying to be more of a generalist than a narrow focusing podcast. We have some focus towards leaders and coaches. So we have a tendency to look maybe organizationally. We've gotten away from agile practices, for example, like specific agile practices. Not that we can't talk about them. So that's I think our why is uh, we want to help as many people in the universe as possible with agile to do agile excellently. It's like Bob and Josh's excellent agile adventure, and maybe that's our new branding. Um, and and so we're pretty clear on that. Where our backlog come another question was where our backlog come from. We begged for feedback and over years, and we've gotten some, uh, but not enough. So we would love to be listener driven, and that's actually maybe a gap. Maybe that would help us. And we're somewhat that. So I'm not complaining about the feedback. We're getting feedback now, but in general, uh, when we've made cries for, well, cries for feedback, but also like cries for Black Lives Matter and things like that, we haven't gotten this groundswell of collaboration. Like we try to be change makers. We've tried historically to be difference makers and change makers along things that we care about, like diversity and inclusion or hiring or whatnot. And but it hasn't been collaborative. We drive our own backlog largely. Josh and I just sit it down and we write stories. Probably, to be honest, mostly me. I pull out things and I don't know if they're sort of interesting to me, and I extrapolate. I think they will be interesting to our audience, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, uh, you know, we have a passionate core of listeners and viewers. So we have that and we know that and we appreciate and honor that. I don't think we get the engagement that we're looking for because I don't think our listenership is really big enough or broad enough to hit the number of people that are willing to take action. It's I think that's the problem there, is that we're wishing for something that may not be possible to actually get a groundswell. I'm not sure we have enough water to create a groundswell, if that's what a
Yeah,
groundswell is. So,
I would buy that. Another
yeah,
thing I've thought about is we've been giving away stuff for free forever, and we've done late monetization. People are starting to do monetization of written content. I forget the name of the what is it? Stack something Stack
Substack.
Substack
Yeah,
is has a monetization flavor, uh, and maybe that would change things. Maybe it would grow, but it would also engage because they're paying for it. They would
yeah,
engage it. This morning, Josh and I were talking about like getting the word out. We're not getting the word out and doing a great enough job of marketing and broadcasting content, or even sending out an email 2 days before the Metacast with a theme. So building interest. Some of our competitors do, I think, do a good job. Chris Stone is someone Josh and I were talking about. He's in the UK, and I think he's building his brand. He does podcasts and meetings and things like that in the Scrum Master retrospective space. And I think Chris has done a really good job, a consistent job of building momentum. I don't know what his listenership is. I'm imagining though if we're trending down, he's trending up.
yeah. What Chris does really well on LinkedIn is there's these like mini trends in social media, be it on traditional social media or LinkedIn, where there are post types that are gaining traction, and he does a really good job of tying into those. So for a while, it was like top 10 lists. Right? He was crushing it there. And then he creates a lot of visuals that are within the post that you slide through. So there's been some good things that have been like the new effective way to share content that he's been in the trends with. And I look at him like, man, that's cool. That's nice. Nice job. But my capability to make that happen from a time perspective, it just isn't there. So that's a challenge that we have, is that we are, as the Godfathers, we're doing things the old school way, and we know we need to catch up. Otherwise, we're going to get lapped. Maybe we have been lapped, and we have to work a little extra hard to unlap that. But I think the reality is we have no more cycles to give. So it's, do we hire somebody
Yep.
to make that happen? Bob has some like passionate volunteers and some of the other projects that he's working on. All of those types of things that we're trying to figure out. Just like Bob and I did when people gave us feedback about the audio quality. And we were like, okay, well, we got to step it up. And it was,
Yep.
the bottom line of that bill got to like 15, $1,600. And we both like hit the pause button, like, okay, like, do we want to spend that money? Is this important enough for us to make this choice and to really continue and put the hammer down a little bit more? And we decided to. So this feels like one of those moments where, as Bob said, we have to pivot. And I think what, not I think, but I know what we're looking for right now is, how do we pivot?
Yep.
We have thoughts and ideas, but it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what you all think.
So marketing ideas, content ideas, format ideas. You get a chance. Metacasters and listeners now live and recorded. You're getting a chance to guide the future of the Metacast Part 2. It's an awesome don't be daunted by it. It's an awesome responsibility. That could be Part 2 into the can, or it could be
Wow.
Part 2 into the horizon for the next 15 years. And we're open to everything. Throw ideas. Don't be cheap. You should be paying for a marketeer. And if you have a name or a tool that does auto marketeering and auto wrap up, tell us. If there's a comparative site that we should be modeling ourselves after, give it to us. Uh, we want your feedback and ideas and suggestions. So if one of you wants to help us out uh, for free or paid to be part of the Medicast Brain Trust. Brain Trust. No, 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 Josh.
I,
No,
I'm not.
where? No,
I was.
you're. No, we're fun to work with, and we have a few. We have some skills. We have some experience to
We
share.
do
So it'd
some
be cool.
oddities, but yeah,
But that's another idea. We should invite other, podcasters. Invite guests. Would be a wonderful idea.
yeah.
And do something like that. Different voices. Should we kick Josh off because he doesn't have enough ideas? I'm
That's
open to.
fine. Fine. Fine.
Fine,
Fine.
fine. Uh, stop, stop. Come on back. Please come back. Please. Oh no.
uh,
I hurt you. I'm sorry, Josh.
Fine. Fine.
No.
No, I get it. One of the things that I do want to share, which is why I brought up this T-shirt, is all of the things that we've tried, and it doesn't mean they failed completely. Our attempt at implementing them failed. So we have store.metacast.com. That really was driven by Walter. So Walter's a big thing that we've tried to get more exposure. We've tried some t-shirts because Bob says a lot of crazy things and I like t-shirts. So we just, it's easy to make the t-shirts. We have Patreon. I think the failure there is mostly on us. We don't push it well enough at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So that's problem number one. We have in the Kazi Discord, which there's a link to in every episode note we've ever had in the last like 5 or 6 years. There is a tier of members there that have separate discussions that Bob and I would be a part of. I even have a person, Black Paladin is the man that took that on and was willing to drive that and to create the conversations. But again, it fell flat. Is it because lack of or poor marketing on our end? I think that plays a piece. Is it just lack of numbers again to drive that click through rate to get people in there and to do the thing? Yes, I think it's all of these things. And so far, we've tried a handful of different things and it has not worked. We've tried to offer more, we've tried to offer different. And so far, we have swung and missed. Our batting average is officially zero point 0.0.
Well, that's like any good retrospective, Josh. That's not just beat the crap out of ourselves. Like, everything you said
Uh,
is valid,
Factual.
right? But Metacasters, I'm flipping it and saying, what do we do well
Yes.
as well? So appreciations. What do we do well? What part of our brand don't you want us to change? Like, I'd like to hear someone support my suspenders, for God's sakes. Okay. All right.
Let me
Stephen
make sure
Kellogg.
chat's turned
I
on
mean,
for
come
that.
on, weigh in and tell me that suspenders just rock your world once a week or something like that. Or they add gravitas to my words or not. Uh, but again, the things that we do well, give us positive feedback, um, as well as constructive feedback. We're open to everything. We are going to pivot the Metacast. I think, Josh, we didn't agree to that this morning, but it seems inevitable that we need to make a change,
Yes.
uh, for everything, to meet our goals. So that the epiphany we had this morning was we could do what we always do, which is talk amongst ourselves and decide what to do. And the epiphany was, let's put it out to the Metacast. Let's see what people say and open it up to all kinds of ideas. And then what we're going to do is have a follow-up Metacast where we talk about the reframe. What will it look like at a high level? And this is early on. So we heard all of this feedback. Then we got together and we decided, what are we going to do with it? And what will Metacast Part 2 look like? Or it could be, if we're really rambunctious, it could be Metacast Part as well. So we could jump a couple increments up and have a part 4 or a part 5
I
or
thought you
whatever.
wanted to get to 8.
I could go, what was it? Wheat?
Yeah.
Wheat? Yeah, I
Any
I know.
number that you can say with a little enthusiasm is your favorite.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It makes me smile.
Yeah, as the designated product guy, I think we need to recognize our what I call the unique right to win. So what do we have that no one else has? What is the unique thing that we can bring to listeners or viewers that they can't get somewhere else?
Ah, yeah.
Like once we identify that, so any thoughts that folks may have around what you perceive our unique right to win to be, that one thing that you can't get anywhere else from a podcast or YouTube video or whatever it is. What is the thing that Bob and Josh bring? Hopefully, it's not nothing. It could be nothing. Maybe you just like our smiling faces, and maybe that's the unique right to win. But we need to understand that and lean into it and really leverage it, which I don't, whatever it is, we're clearly not leveraging it now. So we need to figure that out.
Yeah, I would agree. The thing that you were saying, Josh, too, is there's what we think makes us unique. For example, but again, confirmation
Yeah.
or not. Like, I think we're some of the most straight shooting, honest, so we have deep experience and we don't there's no bullshit here, right? This is a straight shooting, right? Like, when we fail, we fail. We don't hide stuff. Maybe another way of saying it is we work really hard to walk our talk. Not just on the Metacast, but every freaking day that we're out
Right.
there doing whatever we do. I think people respect that. I don't think there's a lot of folks. I'm not comparing us to Chris or anyone else, but I do know that not everyone does that. So that would be another thing is what are the things, just to plus one to what Josh said, what are the unique things that we bring to the table? So to give us some affirmation or so that we can lean into that a little more.
Mhm.
Like if you like my suspenders, maybe I'll double up. Maybe I'll go double wide, right? Lord knows my pants are screaming for extra support as we speak.
Uh, we can even offer up, you know, whatever would be needed for that listener viewer to pick the color for the next episode.
Absolutely. You know something I've always thought about too, Josh, is like themes. Like I wonder if we're too understated sometimes. And again, I'm saying this for the audience. Uh, like in my case, I've written a coaching book. We don't necessarily go into that very much,
Right.
right? Should we? Like, should we do deeper dives in areas? We've done a little bit of that. Product ownership. There's areas where you have particular competencies in certain areas, and I do as well. I think sometimes I'm speaking for myself. I soft sell things, right?
Yes, you
I
do,
so
Robert.
I soft sell things, and maybe I need to hard not sell, but I need to hard amplify some areas and things like that that would have value.
Yeah, it's almost an honoring. That's how I think of it, of the effort and energy you've put into generating value
Yeah.
for everyone out there. And while you say you've written a coaching book, you've also written N other books
Yep.
that I have friends that or non-friends that have reached out and said like, "Hey, Bob's product owner book really helped me
Yep.
improve my craft." Things like that. Uh, Bob and his bajillion articles, not articles, but blog posts that he's written, right?
Yep.
There's a ton of value there. So it's things like that that maybe we underrepresent what we have and who we are. Along those lines of leaning into some of those things like that, I've been toying around with creating courses around some of the unique approaches that I've implemented that work really
Yep.
well that many people struggle with. Like, is that a thing that
Yep.
people would like to see rather than just hearing about it within a
Yep.
podcast? Is there a different avenue that we could go down that delivers more value to listeners? I don't, again, I think Bob and I will always speak in front of a camera with microphones about something. But we have a real passion about how do we affect as many people as possible, which is why this is important to us. Is
Yep.
our numbers are declining, and that punches us in the gut because we care so much and we want to give so much that it's like, gosh, we're not having the impact that we had hoped for. So
Right.
now we have to pivot.
I mean, one thing to build on what you were saying is integration. So we've done some like Kazi, there's the Metacast, there's my blog content, there's Agile Moose, there's my website, there's my books. So I don't know if we've done a good job of integrating things. And I'm saying this to the Metacasters and say, would a more integrated package of content, of coaching, maybe even like a service, some service offerings or something like that, building a product. Uh, the other thing is I think part of Metacast Part 2 or whatever we call it is we have to drive revenue. Josh and I have talked about trying to monetize some things uh, so that we can, part of growing the Metacast is generating some revenue so we can pay people for help or we can buy equipment and things like that or use tooling. A lot of everything in the Metacast right now is virtually out of our pockets. And that's okay. But if we want to grow or whatever, what would that look like? And should we be integrating, Josh, like classes?
Mhm.
Should it be more? Should it really lean into that umbrella? And what umbrella? Like your brand, it gets muddy between your brand and my brand. Should we
Mhm.
integrate the brands a little more or not?
Yeah.
So Metacasters thinking branding, integration, value proposition, bundled value beyond just words in a Metacast. We're open to all of those ideas.
Yeah, one of the things we tried pretty early, I think we were too early for this. This is a classic Josh move. Like there was something that was emerging in the podcasting space that was a network. So we formed the Agile Podcasting Network where we really vetted podcasters that were out there that we thought were really good. And the intent was to be the one stop shop for the best podcasts in Agile. And everybody was into it, but it needed a driver. And I tried to drive as much as I could, but life got in the way. So many of these things, as Bob mentioned, cost money. So we have to find a way to generate money so we can spend money. It's
Yep,
not for Bob and I to put in our pockets. It's for us to invest in everything that we want to do.
absolutely. Anything else? I think we're getting to close. I'm just trying to make sure we tee up
Yeah.
some topical areas to sort of highlight how broad how broad the
Yeah.
ask is. Um, Now, what's out of bounds, Metacasters? Let's talk about what's out of bounds.
Mm.
Okay. Josh will not stop wearing hats. So if you're going to ping him on hats, that's a non-starter. I'm not going to shave my beard uh, ever. That's not ain't going to happen. Oh, humor. My outstanding award-winning right Peabody. I've won 3 Peabodys. I just want to say I just want to say Peabody. Peabody.
Yeah, here it
Peabody.
is. This is that Peabody winning humor. This is it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not going away, no matter much to your chagrin. Uh, but no, I was just off on a tangent there. And
You
did
would
we miss
never.
anything, Josh?
No, so to wrap it up, uh, I think the most effective place for people to leave comments and create a discussion are in the YouTube comments on this video. I'll make sure it's shared effectively in all of the places.
Yep,
I think that's the best case for the dialogue to happen. If you're not a YouTube fan or whatever, hit us, like, directly respond on Twitter, all of the, or Discord if you're in the Discord. So, but primary responses we would like to have happen in our YouTube video for
yep.
this episode.
And we're going to get the word out. And anyone listening is please get the word out. which is one action that we would ask beyond what normal action. So get the word out to folks, not so much for viewership, but for feedback, right? I'm going to send it out. I'm going to send links to it to friends. Josh and I are going to try to get as broad a distribution as possible to get as much feedback as possible so that we can sort of dovetail that into our own pivoting strategies and ideas. Cool. And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And no, and Stephen, no, we're not taking, yeah, River will not change any of, unfortunately, any of the organic eating patterns.
Organic, exactly. She's healthy. She's eating organic. Certified organic.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
So we good? So
We're
from
good.
beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina,
And beautiful downtown Fuquay, Varina, North Carolina.
I'm Bob the Galinator Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson that tends to win.
Shake.
And bake.
Take care, y'all.